it's going to be like from here on out, it's going to be, I think I mentioned it last time, so I'll not even like go into details again, but you should know that this time around there's going to be a lot of going to need you all to really be very strong, and you need to be very disciplined as well, because the next phase is going to be you working on assignments, tasks, and a lot of other things, just to make sure that at least at the end of the day you can have a portfolio for yourself, and something that you can kick off with as you're entering the job market and all of that. So one of the strong skills that I felt would be necessary for you guys to get at this point, because already we are designers, like I saw the presentation we did, like each of us, all the teams. It was really mind blowing. Like seeing how far we've gone from the first month even till now. So I'm really proud of how far you guys have come, and there's already a lot of things you know. So there's no need to start maybe going over a lot of things again to teach you something new and stuff. So I'm still going to be touching over most of the things that we already know, but it's just to bring it to our attention, because for I feel like this period now, the rest of the period, and then for those of you that would be maybe starting up a job in UX or already have a job. I know someone mentioned they had gotten a new job already. So some of these things are things that would help you to stand out and distinguish you from other designers. So you already know how to use tools, you already know how to use Figma, learning how to do prototypes, do designs, do your research, use Figma, Miro, and some of those tools. And at the end of the day, those things are almost every designer knows how to use these tools. So what differentiates you from the other designer? What differentiates you from every other person out there in this space? So that's what I'm going to be talking about. And one of the key things is design communication. So as much as you have done your designs, the difference between the difference between the teams that we had do their presentation, aside from the level of work that each of the teams did, there was a difference in the style of presentation, in the way that each of us presented. And as much as we worked together in teams, and maybe some of you did not have the opportunity because we're kind of a large class, and maybe most of you did not have the opportunity to be the ones to present and all of that. As you're going into, maybe as you're getting a job or a contract as a UX person now, you will not always be expecting to have your team leader do that presentation for you, or whoever it was in the team that did that presentation. You will not always have that person do it. So it means that you yourself, like for everything you work on, for everything you design, you need to be able to know how to effectively communicate it, right? So that people know what you've done and actually see the value in it beyond actually looking at the design things and all of that. So that's what we are going to be talking about basically today. Yeah, so design is not just what it looks like, it's how it works and how you communicate it. So you've spoken to your users already know what you do. Sorry, you've spoken to your users, you've been able to understand, sorry, you've been able to understand and empathize with them. You know what they need, and you've been able to create a beautiful um design out of that. Value works. Might work, it might look good, but then how do you actually communicate it? Like how do you sell there to your user something that they need? So some of the ways these things will work out for you guys is like in your let's say your portfolios, your maybe CVs and all of that. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because it actually is what.
Good evening. Um, Class rep, please check your DM, please.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can
Yes,
hear
ma, we
you.
can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, apologies. My network just went off. Yeah, so are you guys still with you guys were able to hear till I got cut off? I can't even remember where I got cut off. Okay, so in the different ways you might be able to, you might need to communicate this, maybe in your portfolios and all of those things we presented. So someone asked the question as well about like case studies, whether you have to like work on maybe a product that is already out there or a new product or all of those things. So in the different ways you present those things you might be working on, demo projects and all of that, you need to effectively communicate it well. Those are the different ways communication would come in. Okay. So yeah, designing great products isn't just about tools or techniques. It's about effective teamwork. Yeah, so I remember that I've already mentioned about tools, techniques. Each of you are going to be using. You've already learned several tools, how to effectively use them, how to effectively do designs with all of these tools. But in this space, like you, in a lot of cases, you never work in isolation, right? And the different ways you would not work in isolation is you're going to be speaking to people when you want to design, like for whatever the problem space is that you're looking at. You need to communicate with users, like actual users, during your research process. As if you're going to be carrying out primary research. I'm hoping that we know what primary research is from what we did at the beginning of the classes. But primary, I can just point to that again. Primary research is when you're actually going to speak to these users firsthand to get firsthand information. But secondary research is like based on, is you basing off your research on the research that other people have done. So maybe from public sources. Apologies, yeah. So maybe from public sources, the internet and all of that. So that's where you could get secondary research and secondary from. So in the case of now teamwork does not mean you would always be working with designers, but aside from designers, you'll be working with several other people. So I've mentioned your users. Your users are the people that you might need to interface with to get validation on maybe product ideas, or even to validate a problem, think of a solution to it. And then of course you're going to also need to team up with your stakeholders. Not necessarily now in this case, when I say teamwork, it means that not like you guys might would always be working together, per se. But then in the way we're having these classes now, it's been like a teamwork kind of thing. So you have your facilitators, we come in, we train you, we all are a team, right? The same way the TFM admin representative that we have here is also part of this product design team, which is like a class. So the same way, if you're working on, even if it's a freelance project, you would always have a client that maybe you're reporting to. And then that client, if that client is an individual, if the person is just one person, then maybe you're lucky and you can just be working with just that one person. But in some cases, the person might be representing an organization, and then they have like not just the product owner now, but maybe there's like a product manager, there's a developer you have to work with, and all of that. So that's a team already. So you find out that beyond just using that tool that you're using, you need to be able to effectively communicate with these people to be able to drive teamwork for you to achieve your results, which is to not just design, but to be able to communicate what you've designed to both your users and um your stakeholders. Okay, so some of the skills you could use that would help you achieve effective communication as a designer. We've talked a lot about talked a lot about empathy initially as one of the strong skills a designer should have. And I'm really not going to go so much into that, but definitely to be able to understand your users, you need to be able to see things from their own perspective and understand things the way they do, to be able to now wear your hat as that designer and that person that can think beyond them now. So you're not just looking at it from their own perspective, but after you've done that, you now look beyond them and see possible ways you could solve that problem the way that it still meets their need. So that's what empathy is all about. And of course, collaboration. You're going to be working with people. So you need to be able to have that team spirit to work together to achieve a common goal. Now, another skill you need to have to achieve effective communication is storytelling. Now, being in tech for a while now, like this storytelling has been a initially when I used to hear it, I feel like is it like should we start writing storybooks and all of that? Why is everybody emphasizing on storytelling and all of that? So, but I've found that storytelling is beyond what we've been reading in storybooks and everything. But some of those things we've read, even when we were younger in storybooks, they actually would help us to understand what storytelling simply is. So it's huge saying, okay, now you've done a design that maybe somebody that is not a designer would not understand. Do you know that even if that design is so wonderful, right? You've actually to an extent field, except that thing you're designing is just for designers, which means designers are maybe your users, then okay. If they're able to understand it, then okay, yeah, you served your users. But if you are not able to tell the story, you're not able to um like take people through the point of okay, why you decided to like have people actually understand the experience and story behind every idea. If you're able to do that, do that in communication, then it's really going to improve your communication skills by far. Sorry, I'm always beauty. I'm having, don't know, I just have like, give me a minute, please. All right. Can you guys still hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm still talking about storytelling. So you need to be able to apologies for that. I'm having a flu. I don't know why. So yeah, you need to be able to tell your stories in simple ways. So an example would be each of us worked on something. I think a team worked on, was it food wastage or something like that? I really cannot remember so clearly. But okay, so you've done your research on food wastage. You've been able to see that okay, this is actually a problem for different groups. Maybe from people that actually produce these products, and for them to be able to even get it to their final consumers, there's like a level of wastage that happens along the way, or maybe just for families, right? They, aside from just maybe purchasing fruits and all of that, they don't get to use everything and some are wasted. So yeah, you found out that yes, this is an issue. You've been able to develop a solution around it, and now you're trying to communicate this to maybe a stakeholder that knows nothing about probably the location that you actually did that work on. So maybe you were focusing on, for example, you were focusing on Africa, and the person you're presenting this to, the stakeholder you're presenting to, is not an African. Now you need to be able to tell your story in a way that somebody that is not, whether the person is not African, whether the person is African, whether the person is from any place on this planet, they will be able to understand what you are saying clear as possible. So the reason I try to like bring in the whole narration earlier with like stories we used to read back then in school is because they were very, very basic. There are some stories we used to read in our like what is called all those books then, those years, like Macmillan and the rest. All those plenty stories that if you tell them, everybody knows about it. They don't just easily forget it. Nobody forgets stories, right? Even stories that we heard about when we were younger, you might forget all the details, but at least those key things you might be able to say, tortoise is known for this because of the stories we heard about the tortoise. Elephants are known for this because of the stories we've heard about elephants. So the same way, if you're able to know that, okay, now for this thing I'm doing, but I am I need to explain it to somebody that is like I don't want to start, I don't want to be in a room every time to be explaining to somebody that this is what this thing actually means. So the person should be able to explain it. Like if you're sending maybe a presentation of your work, you're posting your portfolio out there, anybody that looks at it should be able to, at least to a very high extent, understand what you're doing, right? So that's what storytelling is about. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, so coming back to other skills, the next thing is adaptability. So this one is a very, very strong one. And the reason is because we are in a very fast paced, I mean, the tech industry now is very, very fast paced. And the design space is not left out at all. Like we are as the trend is going, every space is just moving as well. But then the point is that basic principles, and that's why we've been able to like take you through a lot of principles, both UX principles, UI principles, and all of that over the past few months. These principles would not change, but the place cases where they are applied because of the technology trend with AI and all of these things, a lot of things are changing fast. So if you are not keeping up to date, if you're not somebody that is flexible to change, if you're not somebody that can easily adapt to a new environment, a new space, then it's going to be an issue for you. As a designer, you're going to be designing for several industries. You're not just going to be designing for maybe the industry you have an educational background in. So you need to be able to adapt to whatever the industry is as fast as possible. And one of the ways you can achieve this is to make sure that you remain well versed. Like, keep on reading things, keep on reading articles, design articles, keep on reading about trending technology and all of that, and how it impacts you as a designer. I would encourage each of us, right, to join. There are a lot of communities out there on LinkedIn, open communities on, I think, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if there are open communities there as well. But there are a lot of communities for designers, and what communities help you do is to see what is really obtainable in the design industry. So even if you're coming in as a newbie, sorry, give me a minute. I'm really, I'm really sorry for the whole cutscene. Yeah, I'm trying to like make sure I don't disrupt. Okay, so a lot of things are happening in the industry, and a lot of people have been there before you. So keeping up with these trends, technologies, everything that's happening in this space, it would help you to like meet up. It will help you to adapt fast. Each of you are going to be working in several industries. You're going to be working in, you might get a job like in a company that has like a certain level of culture around how they do their design, um how they work with their designers. So I've stated an example earlier to say, okay, there are some companies that they might already have like a large team of designers, and then you're just joining as maybe a new designer on the team. So there is a way you would have to work with those people. Now it might happen that okay, you're just joining, and at that point you're the only designer, maybe just a startup, like a company that's still at that point of growth and all of that, and you're just joining. So the level of the what you're doing, right? It might be, it might not be exactly the same as what the other person is doing in, I mean, working with other level of designers and all of that. It might not necessarily be the same, but your ability to adapt to those different kinds of environments, it would help you to actually scale fast and achieve effective communication as a designer, because you know that okay, if I'm someone that can easily adapt, then if I'm in this environment, I should not be really scared to communicate with um senior level designers, mid-level designers, and all of that. I should still be able to kind of rub minds with them, be able to still state my reasoning in whatever design decision I'm making, because I'm a designer as well. I know the principles, right? And maybe I've not had a lot of experience, but the principles are still the same. The difference is just how much of these principles have you been able to apply that have actually yielded results for you. That's what sticks with you. So if you're able to at least know your own core strengths, and to say, okay, yes, so I already know that I've applied these principles in so ways, it has worked for me. Or maybe it has not worked, but I know that these principles could work. So you now know that okay, if I'm in this kind of place, this is the kind of attitude I should put on to be able to maybe learn from these designers. And as I'm still learning from them, I'm trying to learn as fast as possible, that I'm still bringing a lot of value to the table as well. So that's what adaptability can be. And then problem solving. There's really no way you can be somebody who solves problems if you do not like work on the mindset. It's something that starts in your mind. And the one of the things I would say is, as a designer, you are a problem solver. The fact that you even decided to go into design in the first place, it means that you are signing up for problem solving. So you should not be scared to own up to be a problem solver. If there are any difficult situations, even in your own life, okay, a lot of things you could with that designer mindset problems. So how do I solve these problems? You could use some of these methodologies you've learned to even actually tackle issues, like personal issues or issues that might not really seem as if they are design issues per se, but you could actually trust. The more you practice these things, the more it becomes a part of you. And then finally, embracing feedback. So we had, I know before I left, we had the general session where I always like um once everyone presents, we'll be like, okay, so we'll give feedback to them and all of that. So some of these things are going to be happening a lot of times. There are, we talked about, I think I mentioned iterations, like designs that I when we were like starting off classes and everything. So knowing that it's an iterative prove or maybe a design decision that you have made, then you need to, there's something that needs to come in for you to be able to make an improvement. And one of those things is feedback. A lot of times, your ideas are not just going to be embraced by the stakeholder or maybe even by the user a lot of times. But you being able to, one of the ways to show that feedback is already embedded in the design process is we have testing as one of the process, one of the steps in the design process. Now, having in the design thinking process, now having that testing as a part of the design thinking process, testing is a way to get feedback. So the same way, beyond just testing with your users, you need to be also able to wear the cap of a tester a lot of times to say, okay, you've worked on something for a while. You can decide to maybe stay away from it for a period just to maybe just like think over it again, relax, and then by the time you're coming back to those screens again, you need to be able to poke holes for yourself to say, okay, how can I make this better? What is wrong? What did I not do well on this thing? Like, how can it be better and all of that? That way, by the time you've started to do it with yourself, it will be a lot easier when maybe you're now working with a team and somebody say, okay, this thing you did, right? Maybe this button you put here, is there a reason you put it here? Would you do you think it's better here? What if you do this? What if you do that? Now, if you're not able to do it for yourself first, it's going to be an issue for you when someone does it. I learned to embrace feedback is to give it to myself hot first before somebody else is even coming. So that by the time they're coming, I'm like, okay, yes, feedback is the way forward. Like it's the way we are going to grow out of this. It's the way we are going to improve. So be able to embrace feedback and grow out of it. Make your designs better with feedback. Feedback is not against you, it's always for you. Okay. And okay, yeah, speaking to feedback, finally, I would also say sorry, I don't know, is it the stuff you are still talking about on the chat? Please, the attendance, I don't know. Can you guys try to sort it out? I don't know who is in charge of that. Because I'm getting like distractive texts. Texts are distracting me rather. Okay, so as much as you're going to be getting feedback from people and all of that, maybe designers on your team, fellow designers on your team, or even like maybe developers or even stakeholders generally. Now, something else you must also do is always also learn to give feedback as well. So if maybe the way each of you, I mean, within the next few months, you are going to be working on maybe things together, or you're maybe going to be working on it one by one. So I would advise working, even if you're working on something alone, try to get feedback from a team member or maybe somebody that is, all of us, like I said, we're a team already. So if maybe Esther works on something, Esther can say, okay, I just worked on this sign up screen, and Kelly, what do you think about it? Is there anything I can improve on here? So there, what do you think I should add? Esther, what do you think I should, sorry, try to call all your names that I'm seeing on my screen. Justina, what should I remove? What should I add? And all of those things. So by the time you've been able to, by the time you've been able to, you're able to train yourself to help give feedback as well. It will help you to grow faster. And it should just make you see that I'm actually growing. I'm getting better with this, because then you now know, okay, this is what is good and this is what is not good. It will help you to train your design mind and your eye and all of that. So practical applications of communication, right, is being able to explain design decisions to a non-technical audience. I think I've spoken on this already. Then, of course, defending your design choices to a skeptical client. Like I said, it's not every time that you have OES clients. There are clients that they will fight you tooth and nail. Like, you will be saying one thing, they are they'll be very skeptical to say, okay, why are you doing this? You should be able to defend your decisions at each of these points. And to be able to defend your decision, it means you have to make sure they are grounded on principles. Because once a principle is proven, tested, and all of that, then it's easy to ground your decisions on those principles when you do those principles and are able to apply them effectively. Then the next thing is negotiating compromises with developers. So a lot of times in working with developers, I find out that because you've been able to do, I mean, we have very creative mind as designers. So there are times when you'll be able to do something like very, very creative. But in terms of maybe functionality and bringing it to life, it might not be possible. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry I had to mute earlier. So you should be able to sometimes negotiate. Should be able to negotiate. Sometimes when this you need to make compromises, you should be able to negotiate with them. And like I've said, always make sure everything is grounded on principles. If you're telling the developer that based on the design, the button is supposed to be maybe on the left hand side, and be on the right hand side, and the developer is telling you that because of all the coding and build and all of that, I cannot put it on that side. Now, if you're going to agree to that, then the next decision you're going to be making is everything you're making is also based on what you've gotten from research, your users, and making sure you're still meeting with their need, making sure you're still meeting with the business need. So if you're able to negotiate within all of this, considering all of these factors, then you could make a compromise. But just know that you're not going into the industry to fight. Like, you're there to do your design and to do it well. So yeah, that's one of the things I'll just say about that. I don't want to go into a lot of details. Yeah, so that was a very short one, but I'm hoping that we're able to get something. So does anybody have any question for me? Yeah, Paula.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes, please. The this one that you just say you don't really want to go into, that's one I have a question on. I didn't get the last point. Negotiating compromises with developers. I don't know if you can go over it again, please.
All right. So I said a lot of times you're going to be working with developers, and there are times when you've already designed something that maybe your clients have even seen it and they are okay with it, but because of some, will I say, developmental constraints now, the developers are not able to interpret a lot of in short, a lot of times the fears designer have is that by the time I'm done with this design, let the developer not come and do something else. And it happens a lot of times. You see a beautiful design that the designer has done. The developer, once they come, one of the first questions they'll ask you is, is this still possible? Right? Because we are coming from the point of creativity. We want to just maybe do something in a different way, but making sure that we are still meeting the needs of the users, meeting the needs of our business goals as well. So if I've been able to do my design based on all of this, now a developer is coming to the picture, the developer is saying that, okay, based on what is feasible, this might not be feasible, and there might be other factors around it, maybe. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear
Okay.
you now.
Sorry, my network was cutting. Okay, so I'll still explain to you, Paula.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, so in those kind of cases where maybe the developer is not able to do exactly what you've done, like everything, replicates it the same way, then you could actually have some negotiations with them to say, okay, so if you're not able to maybe put the button on the right based on what is obtainable developmental wise now, where can it go? Like, where can it go? And if they're able to say, okay, this is where I think it can go. Now, a lot of times for them, especially for developers that don't have like a background in design at all, they would not even, they are not even, most times they're not considering what you've gotten from research and all of that. They're always, okay, let's just do it in a way that it will work. But there are times when these design developers already have, like maybe they have a design background, they already know what design entails and all of that. So in that kind of case, they can say, okay, yes, so based on maybe what I know about design, if it's not obtainable here, it's obtainable this way, it will still answer to the need of the users. So in that kind of case, what you could now do for whether the developer has that level of knowledge about design or not is for you to be able to back up your own decisions with design principles, make your choices based on design principles. So there are a lot of other ways it can work, right? To make sure that you still get to your need. But you just have to communicate it in a way that it does not make the developer look like they don't know what they are doing, and also does not make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, right? So that's just the aim of everything, to ensure that okay, you guys are still you're still working to achieve the same goal. So just have that in mind and be able to defend your choices at the end of the day. Is that clear?
Yes, ma, it's clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does any other person have a question? Yeah, Helen.
Okay, ma, good evening. Hope you can hear me. So the network is really frustrating. I want you to throw more light on the sorry, the design. That is the heading. The first one is the key to help you achieve effective communication. That is empathy and collaboration. To be precise. I missed it because of the network just took me off.
Which one? You said empathy and collaboration.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, let me try to share that screen and see if that's what we're talking about. Is my background noisy? Okay, thank you. Um, okay, so I was talking about like skills that could help you achieve effective communication, and one of them is empathy. And the reason I did not really go into details with empathy is because it's already one of the things that like it's already embedded in our design process. So I didn't want to throw a lot of light on it because it's something that I'm sure that by now we already understand what it's about to an extent. So yeah, one of the ways you can do that is to be able to um empathize with not just your users, because it's not just your users you're going to be working with a lot of times. You're going to be working with stakeholders, you'll be working with maybe developers, you'll be working with project managers, product managers, and all of that. So you need to be able to bring in that your empathy card as a designer to be able to work effectively with these people and communicate with them effectively. The collaboration too is also one of the things. You're going to be working with teams a lot of times, and in talking about teams, I shared different ways you could work with teams. It might not just be designers, it could even be your users. Maybe when you're testing with your users, when you're doing your research with your users, and all of that. So these are the different ways you could achieve effective communication as a designer. Is that clear? Helen? Nancy, you have your hand
Okay, ma.
raised. Can't hear from them
Okay,
again.
good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Okay, about storytelling, I really don't. Can you share more light on that storytelling? Because sometimes I don't know how does someone know that person is out of line. Like the person is not exactly telling it right. Because I had a friend that sometimes when he tries to present something, it doesn't go in line, but to him he calls it storytelling. So please just shed more light on storytelling as a designer.
Okay. So this is like a very storytelling is actually a very will I say it's like a very, very broad subject of its own. And if we start like going into what storytelling entails, we might not be able to finish today. But then one of the things I could just mention that would help you is storytelling is actually a like is actually the strongest form of communication, the strongest form of effective communication. And it might not just be it's not just about basic stories, but it's majorly you being able to communicate things clearly in a let's say in a very well structured manner. So for example, now I have okay, yes, I have this presentation I'm showing you guys, right? And with the presentation, you're able to like see the flow of let me see if I can share that screen again to help me explain. Okay, so with my presentation, you can see that. I don't know, can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I can.
So this is an example of storytelling. It will come in any form. That's why I didn't want to like go into details. This presentation I shared is a way to like tell a story. So the subject of today was design communication. That's what I was talking about. Now, why did I just go into this slide? This is one of the key slides in this presentation. Why didn't I just jump into this thing straight? Do you understand? So that's one of the ways you tell a story. If you watch a lot of movies, I can use that as an example as well. You would have there's always like a background kind of beginning, and then maybe in the middle you put in the heavy information, and then at the end you wrap up with something beautiful as well. That's a form of storytelling. I really don't know a lot about like stories and all of that. I didn't really do literature, but I know that's one of the forms of storytelling. You could start on a very clear notes. Everybody's like on a chill foundation. Everybody's starting together, and then you now start going into deeper details and all of that. And then from deeper details, you're able to wrap up something good again. That's the form of storytelling. So depending on the context and depending on what you're sharing about. So like for this one now, I was talking about design communication. I had to like start with okay, design communication, like the subject, give a little intro of what I'm going to be talking about and all of that. And if you're I'm able to like put a lot of things together and have a flow around it. So whenever you think of storytelling, don't think of it as anything hard. Don't think of it as and keep people very much interested in seeing what you're doing. Now, and I want to have a presentation around it. I can decide to start with like a very on a very Nancy, can you still hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if you got what I was trying to explain before my internet cuts in.
Yes, I get. Thank you.
Yeah. So once the flow is clear enough and you're able to look at it from the eyes of your use of whoever it is you're presenting to see that, oh, my audience, will they actually flow in this? So you need to know, okay, who is this my audience? Who am I trying to speak to? Who am I trying to communicate with? And then tell a story in a way that it would emotionally connect to that audience. So that way it's easier for you to um connect with them in maybe their words, the kind of words they use. You could also use pictures as well to like be able to relate very well with them. So yeah, these are some of the ways you could tell stories. And to get better at it, you could actually um go online and check out for like strong portfolios with a good sense of storytelling, and you'll be able to see some examples around it. I'll also check and drop some on the Telegram channel as well, so we can follow up and see examples. Choma and Ogechuku. Okay, Choma, you can go first. I think I saw your hand first.
Good evening, Mom.
Yeah,
Okay.
good evening.
Now, before the last that month you were teaching us that something you stopped at affinity mapping. You did not tell us much on it actually. So I don't know if you can shed more light on it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So I actually did not want to go back into it because it was something I was supposed to do a visit again. But the reason I didn't want to go into it was because it's already, I think the one Jacinta put you guys through later on was empathy mapping, and it's also one of the ways you could land on you could like put together your data from research to be able to make meaning out of it, and think of ideas to actually solve these problems, like actually structure the pain points, prioritize them, and all of that. So it's one of the ways you can achieve it, and that's why I do not want to start going into affinity mapping again. I will drop an article for you guys on the group chat so that you can read over it. Because if you guys have done a method of an analysis, since you guys have worked with an analysis method already, it's just another analysis method. So it's something you can easily read up on. And then if you have any question, you can always ask me. So that's why I didn't want to like have an entire session again on affinity mapping, because even if we were to have that session, I would have preferred it to be very practical. And we do not have, I will not say we have a lot of time now to start doing that level of practicals again. So that's why I didn't want to bring it back. I don't know if you get. So I'll drop an article on that so that we can read through, and then if anybody has a question, you can always reach out to me. Rashida, you're the rep, right? So you're the class rep. Please, can you like message on drop me a message on Telegram to remind me of the articles I said I will share, so I don't forget. Someone else can also assist with that. Did you hear me, Rashida?
Yes, I did. I'm going to do that now.
All right, thank you. And Choma, was that clear?
Yes, thank you, Mom.
Okay, you're welcome. Ogechuku.
Okay, good evening, ma. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just want to ask, you were talking about joining some community. That's when I joined the call. So I don't know, I'm just trying to find out, are there like names of communities that we can look out for, or we should just go online and just type like design communities and then check them out? Another thing I want to ask is are there situations whereby maybe this collaboration thing and negotiation stuff that that actually this developers can actually develop this thing, but maybe because of their time constraint or because they have too much work at hand, they will just try to give excuse on it. Are there situations like that? If they are, how can we solve that kind of situation? And another question I want to ask is, for instance, you want to present your work to the clients, like what application or what um, tool do you use to package your portfolio when presenting to them? I mean, like if you want to present the work to them, how do you package it? What do you use in packaging it? Like, is it everything on Figma, or you can just use something like PDF or something? I don't know. I'm just trying to be curious and ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Udichu. That's a very good question. Okay, so for the first question, there are cases like that where maybe the developer himself or herself is not so efficient, and because of that, they are now giving excuses. And ideally, as a designer, it's really not. I would not say it's. I wouldn't really put it to you to say it's in your place a lot of times to like challenge them and all of it. So one of the ways people have navigated this, like in their places of work and all of that, is maybe to like um have some level of, let's say, development knowledge as well. Although for me, like, I've not been in such a situation before, so I really cannot like give an outright um explanation to what you can do. But I know that it's very possible that if you have, I think one of the things I've told myself as I was coming up as a designer, I said, after this design, I'll go and learn small about development, because it's actually an added advantage. Either you maybe learn a bit of development, or maybe you like learn a bit of project management and all of that. But I would still suggest you kind of master your own field first, and then let the person do their own work. So for you, let it be that you've done your own work, like make sure you've done it so well. And if they keep on arguing and saying, it's not possible, it's not possible, it's not possible. There I love AI right now. With AI, you can actually verify some of these things. Or if you have like with communities as well, like in one of the ways you can achieve it as well is like in communities, you could always ask questions. There are a lot of let's say design, small design communities. You ask the question around that too. So I'll also answer to that now. We have friends of Figma in different states, so you can find out maybe in your own state. You can ask questions to know, okay, is there any friend of Figma community here that I can join or something. So another way the people go about it is they ask questions in all of some of these open communities. Or if you have, maybe you're close to a designer, a senior designer, you can also ask to say, okay, now, because sometimes the projects you're working on might have like non-disclosure agreements, so you might not be able to give a lot of details about what the project is about. But you should be able to say, okay, with maybe this particular screen that this developer is having, is complaining about, you can just ask a random question. Maybe, okay, so if I have maybe a button here or something different, and it's not feasible, what do I do? Something like that. So you could just have it as an open-ended question type thing that you could ask, but ensure that it's not crossing the boundary of your non-disclosure agreements in that kind of case. So these are some of the ways you can navigate it. And I know I've also answered to the communities. Then the other one I've not answered to. Okay, yeah, I think the last question about some of the tools you could use to present. And that was a very, very beautiful question, because a lot of times, like, you see people present like their rough board where they've done a lot of their, they've not even arranged their board, they've not done anything, they'll just hand it over like that. And it's actually a very wrong thing to do. So it would depend on who you're actually presenting to. So if maybe it's non-design um a non-design let's say a non-design audience, then I would, in most cases, I would suggest to use a tool that they can easily relate with. So if, for example, you're presenting maybe for a pitch deck or something, in those cases, you could use your normal slides, but maybe just have screenshots of your screen from feedback or something, and then have a link to the prototype that you could show. So when it's going to Figma, it's not going to the general Figma file where you worked on this, but it's going to the Figma prototype. So a lot of times the Figma prototypes work for people as presentation formats. Then for your portfolio, some other people go as far as, like, for demo projects, if you have the money, you could actually maybe pay a developer to develop it for you, like, on a, if possible, like, on a, if it's something you can do on a low budget or something, then you can actually do it. But if not, then you could use your Figma prototypes. Then there are also non-code tools now that are really very rampant. Like, a lot of them are now coming up that you could also use to work on this kind of projects as well, to like help you with presentation. And then for portfolio too, so we have like portfolio builders, a lot of them out there. You could also do your research. We have there's Wix, Wix, there's Framer, although some of them have like free, they have their free, some of their free templates, and then they have some that you have to like pay for to have access to. So these are two I'm kind of sure of now, but there are a lot of other ones. So you could also check. There's one other one I do. I'm trying to remember the name, but there are a lot of options out there that you could try out. But for now, I would say just keep on holding your skills. And then by the time you're done with your 3 months and you put like your projects together for your portfolio, then you can now like start trying out some of those tools. I don't know if that's clear, Ogechi.
Yes, ma. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Rashida.
Yes, but so the thing is, during our last assignment, I was trying to upload a video, like instead of an image, I wanted to upload a video, but I was not seeing where I could upload a video. So I want to ask if it is because my Figma is not premium or something. Is that what do they call, is that feature for play paid these things?
Yes, yes. The video feature is for paid premium accounts, yeah. Does any other person have a question? There's something I wanted to mention for you, Rashida. So sometimes, like, if you want to maybe have a, I don't know if it's short video effect, sometimes you could use, there's this, I don't know if you know of Lottie files, but it has like GIFs that you can still embed. I think, I don't know if that would help. But depending on the maybe duration and stuff, if it's a GIF, I think you can use it. But if it's a video, it might not work. If it's a GIF, you would have to upload it as an image. Am I right? Yes, I think you have to upload it as an image, but it will not work on your Figma file. It will just work on the prototype. Like, you see the movement and animation and all of that on the Figma prototype, but you will not see it on the Figma file. So you can check it out. Lottie files, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that should be able to help you. Till then maybe we can now do um premium Figma. You can go ahead with that. Let me confirm. I think it's Lottie. Let me be sure. Yes, Lottie files, files. Let me add it to the chat. Okay, I'll be wrapping up now. Does any other person have any question? Oh, Rashida. You can actually, yeah, I think you guys can actually team up and do that. But I would say, but except you have like extensive work you want to use it for Shida right now. But if not, you can still continue on the free plan. You get. But if it's something you guys want to team up for, then I don't know. I think you can do that. Create a team and add people on it. So maybe something you guys can work on together. Okay, so to wrap up, I would say I'm a DM away. Although I know it might not be so easy to get me like on Telegram. Like that's one of the last apps I remember opening up for some reasons. So I would I would share my contacts with I don't know. I'm not going to promise, but okay, yeah. I think you most of you are going to be migrating to WhatsApp now because for the next 3 months, it'll be the follow-ups will be on WhatsApp. So I'll share my contacts with um what's her name? I'll ask goodness to share it with you guys on the group chat so you can reach out to me if you have any questions or anything you need clarification on, at least for this period. I think I'll try to see how much of that how much of my time I can actually give to make sure that you guys get me whenever you do need it. So yeah, it was really beautiful, like working with all of you. It was very beautiful. I mean, that period that I had to go for like leave for some time, it was very I missed you people seriously. And then coming back, seeing that you all are still strong, I'm really very excited that we stayed on to this point. So your exams are coming up and I really know you all will do very well. So I'm not even bothered. Just watch the videos, like, comment, and watch them as much as you want to, and check out for other things as well. Read up articles, read up design stories, do a lot of things. Like just enjoy yourself, have fun as designers because it's really just fun being in this industry. And I can tell you for a fact I've been here for about 4 years, 5 years now, and that's been that's been very beautiful. Like I've had a wonderful time, and one of the strongest things that have also kept me is community. So I would say hold yourselves because you all are like your each other's support system. So you don't need to do this alone. Hold each other's hands. Justina asked about communities. Now, this is the first community you have, and from this community, a lot of you will be doing a lot of wonderful things tomorrow. So please don't lose what you have now because it's something you value in the years to come. So yeah, I'll be wrapping up with that. Good night, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Rashida, all this money people are talking about, people should please don't forget me as you're talking about money. I like money too, okay? All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.
Hey guys, you wait though. Talking about communities. I have some community you guys might want to join. Yeah, WhatsApp though. WhatsApp design communities that you might want to join.